So after Nintendo realized that their Mario sequel probably would have ruined a lot of international fans' Christmases, something had to be done to make sure another Mario game would see the light of day outside of Japan. The solution to that was what us Americans know as Super Mario Bros. 2. Released in 1988, it once again captured the hearts and minds of the kids who played it, along with receiving plenty of critical acclaim in the process. Even with all of that in mind, you can't help but notice something is off, no? Put the first game next to this one and it's like night and day. What are all these new enemies? These new lands? What's the deal with tossing vegetables at the enemies to kill them? How exactly did we get from here to here? I'm sure if you've been on the internet for a while now, this is a story you're, for the most part, pretty familiar with, but I'll go over it very briefly for posterity's sake. The original idea for this game was based on a prototype developed by Kensuke Tanabe and designed by Shigeru Miyamoto shortly after the release of the original Legend of Zelda in 1986. This prototype mainly focused on trying to make levels that scrolled more vertically instead of horizontally. Due to the limitations of the Famicom's hardware at the time though, this project would be put on hold. Development would eventually resume though after the Fuji Television Network of all places approached Nintendo about making a game for them, and Tanabe decided to use his prototype as the basis for this game. In 1987, the game would be released on the Famicom Disk System as Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic, and was mainly used as an advertisement for an upcoming Fuji Television event. Now, why am I talking about the history of an obscure game that we've never seen before here in America? That's because around the same time of Doki Doki Panic's release, Nintendo was trying to find a way to release the next Mario game in other regions, mostly because it was, correctly, believed that the Mario sequel that was already out in Japan would be too hard for American audiences. At the request of Nintendo of America President Minoru Arakawa, the international version of Super Mario Bros. 2 would be made as a conversion of Doki Doki Panic. I don't know why he chose that game, but hey man, whatever. Many sprites and other aspects of the story were switched or added to make them more in line with a Mario game. Finally, in 1988, Super Mario Bros. 2 would be released in America. Funnily enough, this game would be so successful that it would be released in Japan 4 years later in 1992 under the title Super Mario Bros. USA. What's really funny to imagine is being a Japanese kid in the 90s that bought this game, only to realize it was just Doki Doki Panic again. You know, if you really think about it, Japan kinda got shafted with both versions of Mario 2. The original was a hellish experience no kid should go through, and the other was a conversion of a game they might have already played or owned. At least us Americans were just blissfully unaware. Alright, with our mandatory history lesson out of the way, let's dive into the game proper with the usual retelling of the plot. If I had to give this game credit already, at least it's different. Mario is awoken one night after having a dream where someone from the land of Subcon calls to him about an evil being named Wart that has cursed their land. He tells Luigi, Peach, and Toad, and they all say they've been having similar dreams. While out on a picnic, yeah, seriously, this is exactly what it says in the manual, they discover a cave that has a long staircase with a door at the top of it. Opening it up, they fall through and are transported to Subcon. The goal now is to defeat Wart, save the people of Subcon, and find a way to get home. Like I said, very different compared to go save the princess from a giant turtle. I like the outside of the box idea, though. It's more refreshing to see an original plot that doesn't involve Peach getting kidnapped. Shit, you can actually play as her if you want. In fact, let's start there. You now have 4 fully playable characters, being Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad. Each of them have different playstyles. Mario is your all-around character, Luigi has a higher jump and poor traction, just like how he was in the Lost Levels. Toad is super fast, both on ground and when digging stuff up, although to compensate he can't jump for shit. Finally, Peach is the exact opposite of Toad. She's the slowest character, especially digging up stuff. I mean, good lord, just look at this. However, she's able to float for a short time after jumping, which automatically makes her my favorite character. Anything that makes it easier to platform in a platformer is usually going to be my favorite. Her one big weakness to me, though, is that she's not great against bosses. In fights that ask you to hit these guys quickly, her slow-ass pickup animation will get you killed at some point. Each character also gets a super jump by holding down the D-pad for a few seconds as well. I figured I'd just throw that in there. I really like having these different characters to play with. Even though I don't use them that often if I go back to this game, having those options for other players is nice. I know other players know how to use them. Trust me, I've seen some crazy shit done with Toad and Luigi in speedruns. It's insane. Keeping with the theme of differences, this game has such a radically different look compared to really any Mario game in the franchise, honestly. There's so many interesting places you travel through and enemies that inhabit these areas. Now this game does introduce some Mario staples like Shy Guys, Sniffits, fuck these guys by the way, Pokies, Bob-ombs, and Birdo, who may or may not be trans? I don't think anyone at Nintendo has actually confirmed this to be true, but the manual does seem to imply it heavily. I mean, hey, I don't judge, you do you, queen. There are a ton of different enemies we see though, ranging from a bird riding a magic carpet, plants that shoot fireballs, Sonic the Hedgehog, okay, these cute little pink blobs, and a basic ass ostrich. Seriously, it's just a fucking ostrich. What the hell is this? What is funny about the ostrich though is that its name and Birdo's got switched to the end credits. One's called Ostro, the other's called Birdo. I don't know how they fucked that up. There's also Claw Grip's name being spelled as Claw Glip, and a couple other misspellings which are kind of funny. Speaking of which, the bosses are all also original too. Mauser, Triclide, Fry Guy, Claw Grip, and the main bad guy, Wart. All the bosses besides Wart, of course, do get reused pretty shamelessly though. Shit, you fight different forms of Birdo at the end of mostly every stage. I guess I can't say too much, you did technically fight Bowser 8 times in the last 2 games, but this somehow feels lazier and I can't really explain why. What's even crazier is that Claw Grip wasn't even in the original Doki Doki Panic, you just fought Mauser a 3rd time. There must have been some serious crunch development for him to be used 3 separate times. It's not like he's that much of a standout, I don't fucking know, like why use him 3 times? I generally like the fights in this game though, except for Fry Guy. This douchebag can only be hit with these blocks that are here, and I don't know if it's just me hallucinating it, but they feel weirder to throw and I can't be as accurate with them. Plus, once you hit him enough times, he splits into smaller versions that you have to take out. I got super lucky when this happened, and they all just kind of grouped together here, but it caught me very off guard. I didn't like this fight much at all. Being that it's a Mario game, you would think that stopping on these dicks would kill them, right? No, in this game, if you try that, you'll just kind of chill on the enemy's head, making the world's worst headwear. However, pressing the B button lets you pick them up and use them as throwable projectiles, being able to kill other enemies. There are also other plants in the ground that contain vegetables to toss as well. It is pretty fun throwing shit at other enemies, especially if I nail one from a far enough distance, it always feels great. You'll notice these cherries scattered around a lot of levels too. Now individually these don't do anything, but collect enough of them and a star appears, working just like it did in the past. It's kind of tough to grab these though, so be ready for that. You know, speaking of which, sometimes there are these floating hearts that'll spawn in as you're playing. Now these will heal you if you take any damage. However, not only are they annoying to grab, they just kind of appear when they feel like it, and it's never when you actually want them when they show up. It's always when you're at full health or right after you finish an end boss by the skin of your teeth. Yeah, thanks game, I really needed that heart right now. Like I said before, the places you travel through are really interesting. We got actual detailed looks into areas like hills, deserts, and fortresses for the first time in the series, but certainly not the last. Along the way there are some more unique levels too. The one that really sticks out to me is all the platforming elements that are silhouettes, and most of the platforms are just whales that shoot out water. The biggest standouts are the vertically scrolling sections that appear at times throughout the game. These are pretty neat to see, especially since the NES seemed to have a hard time dealing with the scrolling, considering that they don't scroll as smooth as the horizontal scrolling levels. I do like these for the most part, but there are some times where I move to a different section only to be caught off guard by an enemy I didn't see. Also, if you reach one side of the screen, you can just warp around to the other side, kinda like the Mario Bros. Arcade game. I usually forget I can do this honestly, and only remember when it ends up fucking me over. Only 20 levels in this game, by the way, much less than the previous 2 games. I'm sure the better graphics and the vertical scrolling probably had something to do with the smaller, limber levels in the game. You know, there's only so much space in those cartridges after all. The music is pretty good too, once again composed by Koji Kondo. There aren't a lot of tunes, but most of them stick in my head for a while. There have been many times where I found myself humming the main theme of this game while doing stuff around the house. I won't lie though, I also can't unhear the Bronto song about Toad. I mean, I don't know why, the lyrics just come to me. Also, holy shit, this video is 16 years old? Dear heavens. The boss theme is solid, and the final boss theme might be my favorite song in this game. It really makes Wart a memorable final boss to me. Good thing too, since, spoiler alert, we never see his ass after this game. What's oddly catching is the pause theme of all things. Seriously, leave the pause screen around and you'll start bobbing your head. I don't know why removing a few instruments in each theme works, but it just does. Some of the sound effects are also pretty good. Hitting multiple enemies at once with a vegetable or another enemy feels really satisfying. Grabbing a bunch of coins once again feels great, even though they just go to waste in this stupid-ass slot machine minigame. These appear at the end of every level, and if you have any coins, you could try and win some extra lives. I suck ass at this, though. If I do win, it just feels like a complete fluke. But when you do win, though, that little fanfare that plays is oh so satisfying. What's really satisfying, though, is killing a bunch of enemies with these POW blocks. Beautiful. There are some things in this game that are pretty jank, though, I gotta say. Many times when I'm jumping onto 1-block-wide platforms, I just kinda get stuck in the side of it for no reason. Hitboxes can especially be strange. Bombs seem to destroy breakable blocks whenever the fuck they feel like it. Like, does this small difference really matter? Sometimes you can drop them down a 1-block-wide gap, sometimes you can't. Don't know why, it just kinda happens like that. Birdo's eggs still have hitbox after hitting a wall, by the way. I don't know why, but it's really fucking aggravating sometimes. Although who the hell knows where the hitbox actually is on these eggs, because I very clearly went through this egg here and didn't die. I mean, sure, I'll take it, I guess. I even died after killing Triclide at the end of World 2, and that was a fun fucking time. The rocks that claw grip throw. Sometimes you can grab them fine, other times you can't. It's like a flip of a coin, Two-Face style, whether you're survive or not. It's kind of annoying. These can be really frustrating to deal with at times, but I can cut out some slack since, you know, the game's over 35 years old now. The one thing that I'd actually say is a problem is how loose the control can be. Like in Mario 1 and the Lost levels, holding down the B button lets you run faster. In those games, momentum builds up kinda slow. Here, you almost instantly get your full momentum as soon as you press the B button, which can lead to you running into shit that you didn't expect. The worst victim of this to me is Luigi. Combine my issues with how much speed you get with the floaty-ass jump Luigi has, it feels almost impossible to platform precisely at all. He ended up being my least favorite character. Like, yeah, sure, Mario's the basic bitch option, but at least I can control him mostly fine. If you really want to feel like you're sliding all over the place, try and speedrun 5-1 and see how loose the control can really get. I think this was an overcorrection in the opposite direction. It's still playable, don't get me wrong, it's not like it's a bad game to control. Just don't be surprised if you find yourself flying all over the screen at times, especially into places you really didn't want to go to. Well, soon enough you'll make it to War's Fortress and put a stop to his shit. The fight is generally the same as the others, so you have to throw vegetables into his mouth that spawn from this machine in the center of the room. Fun fact, this is actually the dream machine that Wart used to create more goons for his army. So the thing that Wart uses to harass the people of Subcom also happens to be the thing that kills him. Why does he have this here specifically? You're telling me there isn't one secret room in this big-ass final level that he can stick this in? Whatever, who am I to question stupidity, though? Wart finally goes down after choking on too many pumpkins, and the people of Subcon are saved. Then, the big reveal comes, where Mario is seen dreaming this entire time. Yep, as the poet Brentalfloss once said, it was all just made up in Homeboy's head. Wow, that's two separate Brentalfloss references in this video. Who would have expected that? If I had a nickel for every time I talked about Brentalfloss in a Super Mario Bros. 2 review, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened. Super Mario Bros. 2 is a very clear improvement over the first game, and especially Lost levels. The improved visuals and expanded level design with the vertical scrolling makes this game feel like a natural step forward in the series. As such, the game was once again extremely successful, being the 4th best-selling game on the NES. It's also seen its share of re-releases, you know, like in Mario All-Star, Super Mario Advance, and the original game's inclusion on the Virtual Console and Nintendo Switch Online service. While not as iconic as Mario 1 and our next game Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario Bros. 2 was still a key stepping stone of the evolution of Mario. To use Pokemon as an analogy here, most people tend to forget the middle evolutions anyway. You don't see too many people say Charmeleon is their favorite in the Charmander line, if you catch my drift. Not that there's anything bad with it, they just aren't as cool or as hyped up as, you know, the Charmander or the Charizard, again, if you catch my drift. I'd still say this is a game that's worth playing in 2026. Next time though, we're tackling one of the most widely known and acclaimed Mario games of all time, and I can't wait to play through it once again. Hold on, is this like the first ever review of Mario 2 that didn't call it a black sheep at any point in this video? Huh, I just realized that.